All right. I think we're live. It's saying preparing, which is a good thing.
Yep, I got that too. Oh, so you're going to be on Facebook?
Yeah.
That's where it is. Oh, fancy.
Cute. Oh, look. Yeah. Sweet. Okay, cool. Love it when technology works out. So
I really want to have a look and see what it looks like. Fancy.
so take over it. So I suppose to whoever who may be is jumping in right now, welcome to Rise Together. I'm really excited to be here to start off this guest speaker series that's really designed for the woman who desires to thrive in life in all areas of her life, unapologetically so. The woman that wants to sleep more, stress less, and essentially wants to make filling her own cup a number one priority in life. Yes. The woman who's ready to leave struggle street, because let's face it, we all hit it sometimes, right? And discover how to thrive on our own terms, how we want to and the way we want to. So for some of you who may or may not know me, I'm Sophie K. I'm a coach and I'm the founder of the Thrive Guide. And essentially, I've made it my mission to empower our coming generations and our generations now to ditch the old paradigm of hustle and burnout and all of that culture, and to embrace really what it means to fill our own cups, prioritize ourselves so we can thrive and, spend our energy on those things in life that really, really actually matter to us. So Rise Together is about bringing the light to some of the struggles that all of us have gone through in the past, but also the solutions that we found. And I know, Dani, you've got a few solutions to share with us tonight, which I'm really excited about. So in the end, it's all about celebrating each other. And yeah, so without further ado, I just want to introduce Dani here, who obviously, whose name I've named a few times, and some of you may or may not know who she is, but she's an amazing radio host and producer extraordinaire. And I've had the privilege of meeting her about 2 or 3 years ago. So she spent the last 10 years in the radio industry here in beautiful New Zealand, living her wildest dreams is the way she describes it. She gets a thrill from being an MC and has hosted some of New Zealand's biggest music festivals, as well as a 40,000 seat rugby stadium, which is pretty freaking cool. Her current passion project is raising awareness for the LGBTIQ community with her podcast called Diaries of a Dyke. We'll share a little bit more about that later on as well. So welcome, Dani. It's amazing to have you here.
No, honestly, so the privilege, it's my, I look up to you so much. You're such an amazing human. Even like when you're just speaking right there, I'm just like in awe of you. Like your energy is so amazing. And then I come onto this and Sophie's like bright and pink and lovely. And here I am, black. I'm sorry. I should accordingly.
It's all about contrast, isn't it? It's all about contrast. No, I love it. You're beautiful the way you are, my lovely. So, yeah, I just want to repeat this for the viewers tonight, Dani. Welcome, firstly. But Dani, you know this, but we're going to go through some really interesting questions tonight that give us a wee bit of an insight into your life, into who you are, but also hopefully inspire our viewers to take some of those solutions and those thoughts and ways of being into their own life. Yeah, you ready? Shall we get it going, Dani?
I'm an open book. Read away.
All right, cool. So my first question to you tonight is around how you like to start your day. Because I see from my own personal experience, the way I start my day has a huge impact on how I feel for the rest of the day. So do you want to share with us what's one of those things that you really love to start your day with that sets you up for a good day, that makes you feel good? And tell us a bit about why.
Do you know what? I haven't always done this. Like for me, I'm a real trial and error person. And routine actually doesn't come very easy to me because I have so many things that are on. Like every day is different, but I like that. So I find if I try and have something that starts my morning that's always the same, it does set me up. Like at least that little thing is routine. And what I've started doing recently, it's kind of off and on the last couple of years, but recently, so like for about a month, which is a long time for me. Like every morning I've done it and I'm like, well, geez. The first thing I do when I wake up, I turn my alarm off, don't look at my phone, and I get my journal and I write gratitude. Yeah. And I write, it could be absolutely anything. And to be honest, it's always different every day. Like one day could be like, I am grateful to wake up. I am grateful for life. And the next day could be like, I love me. I love myself. I love how passionate I am. Like, it just really depends, because I like to write as well. It really depends on when I wake up, what I feel. And then if I get it all out into like my writing and into a journal and I'm physically doing it, it sets me up for the day, because there's always something that I write that I'm grateful for. And it's just starting that day with like a positive. And I truly think that every single person can wake up and be grateful for at least one thing. Example, life, like you've woken up. So yeah.
I
so
love that.
That's how I like. And coffee.
And coffee. Was it a small coconut flat white? Is that right?
Oh my gosh, you remember. You remember. It's I find that really important. I don't know, like, if you remember somebody's coffee order, I don't know, it's just like something so little, but you know, like if you know, because I feel like a lot of people enjoy coffee, it's just a little thing in a day where you could be like, I remembered your coffee order, here you go, here's a coffee. Like that wins my heart. If someone's like, here's a coconut flat white, I'll be like, just a little thing.
Love that. I love that. Yeah, no, as you said, what did you say in your little intro that way I posted on my page this week? You said you feel like it says a lot about a person.
I think so, because you know, like a
little bit of sugar or just black or
totally. If someone's orders like I met someone the other day and they ordered a quad shot coffee.
But a quad shot? Yeah. Wow.
And I was like, oh, okay, interesting. So a lot of caffeine. Nah.
Yeah. Well, I suppose we can make meaning of that, whatever we want to make meaning of that, right? But I just want to circle back to how you start your day, because I think that's really lovely. I have to say, in terms of routine, you know, and I think this is probably really current for a lot of our viewers out there, is that routine can be a hard one, especially if there's changes in life and really sticking to those things. But if we can make certain things in our lives, these non-negotiables, then that has a huge impact on how we feel. Not just does it give us that routine, that thing to anchor to, but they're also tools that we can use any time of the day. So it's funny actually that you bring up journaling, because I actually hung out at Te Matatini with my daughter today, and there was this lady and she asked me, what do you do for your well-being? And the first thing that came to mind is journaling. And you're right. And it's just jotting down those ideas, how you feel, but doing that gratitude and writing down some of those things that you love about yourself, which is something that I do with my clients a lot, because honestly, all of us need a bit of self-love. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. And what a beautiful way to start your day, because how many of us wake up and the first thing we do is check our messages, right?
Well, yeah. And I mean, look, I don't beat myself up either if I sometimes wake up and look at my phone and my messages. I try not, like, I'm just like, man, I'm just human, like, you know, like I've got heaps on. The last thing I want to do is get my journal out and write down. But what I'll do is I'll be like, okay, Dani, you've answered some emails. Not the best way you want to start, but then I'll grab, my journal's literally right here. I'll actually, like, because I had such a busy day today, I didn't actually journal when I woke up, but I'll make sure that I journal at least one time through the day. And for me, that's like, cool, at least I've done it. So prefer to do it in the morning as soon as I wake up, sets my day. But if I forget, don't beat myself up, because I feel like if we do that, we just throw it to the side completely. Because, you know, you get angry at yourself. You're like, you didn't journal, you forgot to journal. And then you're like, oh, I'm not going to do it anymore. But instead of having that like mindset, I'll just be like, it's okay, didn't do it first thing, but I'll make sure I do it in the day.
Yeah, cool. Because it's an amazing tool. Just writing down a few things you're grateful for, even just saying them out loud. If you don't have your journal handy or you don't have a journal, then you might want to go grab one.
Listen to this.
Yeah,
because I was an angry one.
Yeah.
But like, that's what I mean. Like some days will be 2 lines and then the other day will be 2 pages.
Yeah.
And you know what's really weird? I don't know what this means, but I've realized over the last month since I've been journaling, my handwriting changes heaps, like depending what I write.
Depending on how you feel.
Yeah. Sometimes it'll be capital, sometimes it will be like slope, sometimes it'll, like it just changes. Like it would look like a different. Do you do that too?
Yep, absolutely. I've noticed that with me as well. And I've noticed this with my daughters as well. Depending on how they're feeling, their handwriting will change. Yeah. Interesting one, right?
Yeah, I was like reading it and I was like, this is a different person every day.
Yeah, cool. That's so funny. All right. Well, that's a nice one. Thanks for sharing that, Dani. And I'm sure a lot of us out there can relate to that. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Let's move on to the next one. So This one gets a bit more into the nitty gritty. What do you do when life stresses you out? When you've just had a day, just, one of those days where one thing, it's that negative stacking, when one thing happens after the other, and you're like, in the beginning, you're like, yeah, it's okay, I'll deal with this. And another thing happens, and another thing happens, and another thing happens. And at some point we're just like, ah. Yeah. What's one thing that you like to do for yourself when you've got one of those days?
I am a water element. I don't know how into astrology you are. Like, I need water. Like, I need to look at it. I need to be by it. So if I'm having one of those, actually, to be honest, most days I try and go to the water, but especially if I'm feeling overwhelmed, like say, I've got heaps on, like at the moment I've got an event tomorrow night and I'm stressing out and I have so much on. But what I'll do is, instead of working from like a office space or a home space, I'll go to the beach or like a lookout, and I'll just sit in my car. I'll just sit in my car, and as long as I can see water and I'll just be working, then that just calms me right down. Like, I just think that your environment is really, really important. So if you're feeling very stressed out and overwhelmed, obviously you probably can't change much about what's happening because you've got to work through it, but you can change your environment. So that's what I tend to do. And as long as I'm by water, I just see it and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah, nice.
So yeah, just like if you're not near a beach, like even like an estuary or like even just nature of any kind, I find that really helps a lot of people. And it's so free,
Yeah, I love that. Well, I'm very lucky to live near the water, so I get to see it every day, but I have to say it makes me take it for granted sometimes. But yeah, there's actually scientific research around that, and I've heard this in terms of well-being, in terms of other cultures as well. Like, for example, the Japanese, they do something what they call forest bathing, because their suicide rate is so high. So there's these programs out there where they help people get into nature, and there's now actually some research around that suggests that nature is actually essential to our well-being and connecting to that. And that also has to do with its frequency, even on a biological levels, the way we respond to it. So that's, it's pretty cool that you are doing that, obviously quite intuitively, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think there's multiple reasons for it, but I think a lot of it is to do with my like ancestral DNA, like just being part Cook Islander, being always around water. My ancestors were, that was their home. I think that it's really important for me to be close to it. Like when I go home to Rarotonga, that's where I feel most safe. And the whole world is like right by the ocean. So I feel like that's like a part of me. Like, if I really, really, because I'm quite intuitive as well. Like if I really tap in, I'm just like, this is all that I know. So yeah, I think that's part of it as well. That was deep.
Cool. Yeah, I love it. Thank you for sharing that. But hopefully we'll get everybody else who's viewing this and listening to this thinking about how their ancestors and what they were around influences what they do, but also just get out into nature. That's where no matter what no matter what your belief is in regards to how this world was created, our connection to nature is a fact, right? I mean, we consume plants and obviously animals as well. So
yeah, we have like 80% water or something ridiculous. I don't even know what the percentage is, but
I have to say I watched the Avatar 2 with my girls, and I really, really loved the way they put it. They talked about water as in something in like around, you begin your life in water in the womb, right? And then you end your life in water too. And I suppose when you go back to the earth, or some people do, burials, the earth has also got water in it, right? And I really love this idea of how significant water is actually in our everyday life, because without water we can't live, right? We'll die. I think can last 3 days without water. We'll become delusional after 1 or 2. And we die pretty quickly without water. A very large percentage of our body, I can't remember if it was 70 or 90%, but a very large percent of water of our body consists of water. So makes a lot of sense. Hey, cool. Well, thanks for sharing that, Dani. That's awesome. I love that. So tell us about your superpower. So we've had, and obviously in the intro, we've heard a little bit about the things that you've done and that you like to do.
Okay.
But what do you think is your superpower? The one thing that you think that makes you and makes you unique?
I think it's a really funny. No, kidding.
We love funny. Go for it.
No, I think to be honest, I think it's my emotional awareness. Um, I'm very like, I'm emotionally intelligent. Like I know my emotions, I feel them, I'm not afraid to. And I feel like when I talk to people, they can feel that and they share a lot. Like, I don't know what it is, but people are just drawn to me to talk about like really deep, meaningful things, which I love. Like I love that. Like let's go to the beach, get a coffee, sit down and talk about our trauma. Like that's I love that. I love that stuff. So I feel like that's my superpower because I don't feel like a lot of people have that ability. A lot of people, you know, they shy away from emotions. They think it's a bad thing. But for me, I tapped into them, and I'm still learning. Like I'm not perfect. Like I'm learning as I grow. I'm learning how um, to feel them and then to let them go as well, and to just not hold. Because I'm quite empathetic. I'm learning to not just hold on to everything. It's just as important to let it go. And what's not for you shouldn't be for you. But I do enjoy that in life. Like it's one of my passions is really sitting down with people, getting to know their story, listening to how they feel and where they're at in life. And yeah, I feel like it's really hard to come by these days. You're great at it too, Soph.
Thank you. Yeah, maybe we share that superpower. But I suppose I just wanted to say that's probably something that's also really instrumental in what you do with Diaries of a Dyke, right? With why you started the podcast series. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that? How that kind of came to, how that has to do with the emotions and your superpower?
Well, I think connecting with people has always been, you know, a really big passion of mine. Like it's pretty much why I got into radios because I like music and I love people. I love storytelling. So I got into radio, did that for 10 years, and then when I left radio, um, obviously I'm a part of the LGBT community, so I had a lot of people that really looked up to me as like a voice for the community because there just wasn't that many. And so when I left, I kind of was just like, man, like I don't want to lose that platform or be that voice for the community. So I was sitting there one day. I actually remember the very day which I created Diaries of Dyke. I was actually in a bit of a really lost spot because I lost myself a little bit when I left radio because it's your identity for so long that I was like, whoa, who am I now without this thing that has been a part of me for 10 years? And I remember the exact moment I was sitting at the airport, I was saying goodbye to my partner at the time, and I had my diary and I was journaling and I wrote down like things that I was passionate about and what I wanted to do. And it all linked up. And I'm a big fan of alliteration as well. And I just wrote it. I was like, Diaries of a Dyke. And I was like, that's it. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start a podcast. And back then, podcasts weren't really a thing. There was like a couple of them. So when I kind of spoke about it, people were like, what's that? Like, what's a podcast? So I got all the gear, started filming a couple episodes, and then that's when the pandemic hit for the very first time. And so I had to like teach myself how to do it through Zoom and everything. But for me, it was so important because that connecting with people and sharing their stories, that was my superpower. So that's why I made the platform in the first place, is to tap into that, and for people to share stories that are really raw and vulnerable. Like I felt it was an honor for them to share it with me, and I made sure that they felt safe. And then we shared it, and I've had messages that it's changed people's lives, and that's all I want, even if it was just one person. So yeah,
I love that. That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful, Dani. Thank you. So if people are interested in listening to it, where can they find it?
So we've got an Instagram page. It says just Diaries of a Dyke, DYKE. You can get all the information on there, but also you can find it on like Spotify, iTunes, all good music platform, iHeartRadio, and on YouTube as well. There's videos because I find people quite like visual these days as well. So you can see the videos up there. But 2 seasons, so plenty to listen to. And just currently working on the 3rd season as well, which is exciting.
It is. It is. And if I get this right, you're planning an event. So you're doing events as well for Diaries of a Dyke, yeah?
Because I just
related to that, yeah.
Put my hand in all the cookie jars. Well, because that was another thing, like people love listening to stories, but also my number one thing is people just want to say, how can we meet other LGBT people? And I was like, wow, I don't know, but I could hold things where you can all meet. So I done one last year. It was called Gays and Clays, and we did like pottery, and it was so cute. There was like 30 of us.
Gays and Clays. I love that name.
I'm a real, like, I play on words. Like, I love that. So Gays and Clays. And that was so cool. And then this one is tomorrow night, and it's speed dating. So people were just like, I don't know how to know where to meet like other gay people or queer people or bi people. And I was like, okay, let's just do some speed dating. But it's just fun, like it's even to meet friends. You might meet someone you fancy, but it's more so just to have a whole bunch of the community in one place. Have like a drink, some snacks. Each date's like 5 minutes, some music. It's on like a really cool rooftop as well.
Cool.
So I'm excited. I'm so excited because I love it. I love it so much. Just seeing people like happy, and I know that they'll feel safe because it's a safe environment. It's not always safe for queer people to date or be out in public, being their true authentic self. So for me, that's like a number one goal. So yeah, I'm excited. That's tomorrow. I'm excited, but I'm super stressed. So,
yeah. Get that journal out, Dani.
I know. I try to limit myself to 1 coffee a day. Today I had 2. So. Yeah.
Well, it sounds amazing. And I think, what you talked about quite a few times tonight was that being safe, wherever and whatever environment we're in. And I think that's really current for everybody, whether you're gay or queer or, part of the LGBT community or not. Feeling safe is such it's a basic human need. Mm-hmm. It's a basic human need to feel safe that, that isn't actually always, given, and there's so many different things that can make us feel unsafe. It can be things that somebody says, it can be environments that we're in, it can be so many various different things. And I suppose really listening to ourselves and figuring out when that is and why that is. It's such an important thing. Cool. Well, thanks. We went a bit of on a tangent there, but
if anyone wants to come, let me know. DM me.
What I'll do is, because there's a post on your Instagram, right? Yeah. I will put that in the, better write that down.
The show notes.
Put that in the live post as well. So people can find that as well, which would be good. All right, cool. So that brings us down. Next question. This is a bit of a meaty one, and I really love asking this question. So what did you once believe about yourself that really stopped you from feeling good about who you are?
I think like the first thing that comes to mind is that I'm just not good enough. I think this is maybe when I started to see you, Sophie. I actually got made redundant from a job that I was in, and I thought that I was really good at it, and it was something that I had given so much to and sacrificed so much and worked so bloody hard. And how you talk about the hustle mode and the burnout mode and all that, that was me. And then I guess just to get made redundant and just kind of like flick to the side as if it was another number, man, that really, really hurt. And I questioned so much of my ability and my worth and my identity and me as a person. Like, that was a really, really hard time that I went through. And I truly believed that I just wasn't good enough for anything. Like, I truly believed I wasn't good enough for anything I've been working for my whole life. And it took a long time. And to be honest, there's still triggers that happen to this day where I believe it, but that's where you just have to dig really, really deep and get to know yourself, and that your worth isn't actually based on anybody else or any job. It's based on what you think of yourself. And I guess once you switch into that, it's not easy. It's really not easy. But when you switch that mindset, you're actually unstoppable. So I think it's that whole, when you truly believe that your worth isn't reliant on anybody else or anything else, then that's when you're unstoppable and invincible.
I love that, Dani. And everybody deals with the not good enough. Literally everybody I've met in my life deals with it in one way or the other, in different ways, obviously, but it's such a key thing, because how are you going to go for all those things that make you happy if you feel like you're not good enough to even have them, right? You're not going to go and do that. So yeah, thanks for bringing that to light, because I think it's a really, really important one and so current. Yeah, especially for anyone who's struggling out there. I bet there'll be an element of the not good enough in there.
You are, trust me.
Yeah.
Not good enough. And if no one's telling you, tell it to yourself. Wake up every day, look in that mirror and say, I am good enough. I am worthy. Like, just repeat that until you believe it, and you can look yourself in the mirror and believe it. Until that, keep repeating it. And then even when you believe it, keep repeating it.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you, Dani. Okay, cool. Well, that was nice and sweet. Thank you. It's a good one. I love this question.
I'm trying to shorten them because I yarn too much. I just
don't
until midnight.
For a yarn. It's all good. Okay. Next one is, who inspires you and why?
The obvious one for me that comes up is my mum. Of course, my mum. My mum is. Can I swear on here? Will we get taken down?
What's that?
Can we swear, or will we get taken down?
No, you're right.
Okay, my mum is the shit. Like, she is so great. Like, she was a single mum for my sister and I. She went through the trenches, violence, got us out, raised us, made sure we felt like we had everything that we needed. So she's my biggest inspiration in the way of strength. Like, and she also was a big inspiration for me growing up. Like, she truly made me believe that I could do anything. Like, she would always be like, she'd have this one line where it was just like, it's funny because I reckon parents don't realize how influential their words are. And she probably doesn't even know I still remember this, but she always used to say, the world is your oyster. Like, that was her saying. And as a child, I don't really know what that meant. I was like, why is she talking about oysters and world? Like, but I grew up in South Auckland. We didn't have much. And to me, like, being someone on the radio or a TV or a media personality, that was not even a thing. Like, no one in school was like, yeah, cool, this is a path for you, But my mum, she supported me the whole way. Even when I was like, hi, I want to go to radio school. She was like, okay, sweet. She was like, are you going to make money? I was like, I don't know. She was like, okay, if that's what you like, then cool. So yeah, I just think in the way of like strength and just how she moves through life, my mum is definitely a massive inspiration for me.
Yeah, beautiful. Wow. Mums are the best.
Yes. But it's funny because as the older I get, man, I see myself in her so much. It's so scary. There'll be some things I do and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
This child. Because I like something so silly, but I used to be really brunette, dark, like even black hair. And I dyed my hair recently light, and my mum's always been blonde. And I remember when my hairdresser did it, and I looked in the mirror, and I was just like, she was like, "What? Do you hate it?" And I was like, "I don't hate it. I just look exactly like my mum, exactly like her." I was like,
yeah, that's pretty funny, right? And when you when something, you say something comes out of your mouth, and you're like, "Oh my goodness, my mum could have said that right now." Yeah, it's happened to me a few times. Well, they say the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right?
Yeah. So lucky I think she's cool and an inspiration, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah, awesome, cool. Well, shout out to Daddy's mum. Lots of love.
Like Jax.
Yes. Okay, that brings us to our last question, and I think this one's a really cool one, and something that all of us really could be thinking about. But what advice would you give your 16-year-old self?
This is so funny. I find this question so funny when people ask, because I was like, 16-year-old Dani would not listen to any advice that adult has for her. She'd be like, so sassy. She'd be like, whatever, I'll just do what I want. I think it's quite interesting because I think back to my 16-year-old self, and I guess I was struggling a lot with my identity as well, my sexuality. It was a really big thing for me back then. Like, I grew up around no one from the LGBT community. Like, when I was going through the feelings that I was going through with my sexuality, it was so confusing to me because all I saw was hetero couples, like a man, a woman. It's all I knew. And then it was extra confusing because I also like identify as pansexual. So I like, it doesn't matter about your genitals, but I was like, why do I like boys one day and then I like girls? Like, it was just such a confusing aspect. And I really thought that I was the only person in the world that felt like that. And then I guess I spiraled into this like really weird state where I just kind of didn't really know if I wanted to go on. I thought that I would never be able to live my authentic self. And I think that's another reason why I'm so passionate about Diaries of a Dyke, so that a 16-year-old Dani doesn't have to feel like that. So I think I'd go back and I'd just be like, it's going to be okay. Like, don't worry about it. You'll be happy one day. You'll feel safe. And just take more chances. Like, I'd say that's what advice I'd give, you know. I feel like sometimes we're put into this box where we're made to only think we can achieve so much.
Yeah.
But everything is made up. Everything is made up. You can do whatever you want to do. Like, someone made up that there's going to be such a thing as makeup remover. Like, if you want to do that, you know. Like, someone made up a phone. Like, if you have a passion, just go for it. Like, the world is literally your oyster, as my mum would say. See, there I am, reminding myself of my mum.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think just like, that would be the biggest advice to 16-year-old Dani is everything's going to be okay and just take the chances. It'll be worth it. And 16-year-old Dani would say, whatever.
But you know, as you said, with the world is your oyster example, it will land. They might not listen in the moment, but eventually it will land. I find that with my daughters too.
Yeah, it's funny because you think you know everything at that age, but my life that I live now, like if I knew that back then, I wouldn't have believed it. Like, I am doing things that I have only ever dreamed of. I have done things that I've only ever dreamed of. Like, I'm so proud of myself, genuinely. Don't get me wrong, I have bad days, but man, if I could go back and tell 16-year-old Dani that this is what life would look like, that she would be like, whoa, you're kind of cool, sweet.
Oh, that's beautiful. What a beautiful way to end this first session. Thanks, Dani.
Oh, no, that was quite inspirational, hey? Yeah.
Hey?
That was quite inspirational, hey?
Totally. Yeah, thank you so much for being here tonight and for sharing that, and also so openly and honestly, and sort of mentioning about some of the struggles that you went through, because I think we live in a time of social media, and don't get me wrong, social media, obviously because we're streaming this on social media, has an amazing way of creating movement and sharing things as well, but sometimes social media can also be, something negative in people's lives, because a lot of us only display what, the good bits, the highlights. We don't display the days we struggle or the times we break down. And I know, and it's funny that because I'm a coach and I help people to thrive. But, I have to say, the last month and a half has been a tough one for me. 2023 has been a tough year. But it's also been an amazing year in that sense, that now when tough times happen, how you mentioned it before, that ability to just acknowledge it and sit with it and just be with it and not make yourself wrong for having a shitty time or struggling, and just accepting that is part of life and part of your journey, and then knowing all the tools and how to help yourself and how to soothe yourself, give yourself in that moment what you need, so you can dust yourself off and move on, rather than get stuck in struggle street. Sometimes it feels like a one-way street, but it's not. There's actually loads of exits if we know where they are, right?
And also, you're never alone. Like, everyone's got their own stuff going on, every single person. But you just, like, I think such an underrated tool is just being kind to yourself. Like, I think that a lot of people don't actually know how to be kind to themselves, and a lot of people actually don't even know what makes themselves happy. Like, it could be the smallest things. Like, for me, if I'm, how we touched on before, like if I'm having a really bad day and I'm being really hard to myself, then, maybe I'll wake up and I'm just like, man, Dani, you're not doing a good job in life. Like, there's some really shit things happening. I'll do something real simple. Like, I'll go get a coconut flat white, a coffee, and I'll go, example, I was having a really bad day the other day. And you know what? I was like, I'm just going to go home and be a sack and just cry or like whatever. But I took myself on a date. I took myself on a date.
I love that.
I went and got burger fuel, and yes, I paid damn $30 for a burger and chips and a drink, but I got burger fuel and I sat on the beach and just ate my burger by myself. And it was like bliss, like the happiness that I felt was just like such a small thing. Take yourself on a date.
Yeah.
Just go date yourself. It's great. It's
That's
amazing.
beautiful.
Even if you've got a partner, if you're feeling some type of way, just be in your own company.
Yeah.
I don't know how that got to that, but that was a really cool thing that happened to me the other day. So if anyone's having a really overwhelming bad day, take yourself on a date.
Yeah.
Do what you want to do.
Totally. I can recommend that. I remember once taking myself to an Italian restaurant on my own, dinner for one with candlelight and everything. And now actually I do it regularly especially when I have my time of the month. Actually have dates on my own. Yeah, just really creating those beautiful little rituals for ourselves that make us feel good. And you know, we live in a very busy world where we're so disconnected, but we're so connected at the same time all the time. So it's really nice to be able to spend that time with ourselves, to reconnect and to love ourselves. And
but I think I'll be surprised how many people have never been like even out in public or on a date by themselves. You'll be real surprised. Not a lot of people have done that.
Yeah.
Can't be alone.
Well, maybe we're starting a trend now, so
probably just me.
Dani. Great.
Probably just me and you. We'll see each other at the movies one day, but like, hey, you sit over there, I'm gonna sit over here.
I love that. All right. I'm just going to just hold on there, Dani. But I am going to say thank you to all the viewers and everybody that was here tonight and that took the time out from their Wednesday evening to listen to this and also to allow themselves to be inspired. And just I think that's what coaching is all about. Or the coaching space or the self-development space is, however you choose to do it, is really creating that space for creative conversation and a chat about life and how we go about things and our struggles and the things that really work for us. And so we can learn from each other and we can celebrate each other. That's such a beautiful thing that we get to do that here. And what a cool way to start off this guest speaker series.
Congratulations, sir. So proud of you.
Thank you, gorgeous lady, and thank you so much for being part of this and sharing your wisdom with us tonight. And we'll just say goodbye to the viewers from here.
Bye-bye.
Bye.